Hi everyone. Today you were on a bus, pretend, because we're on the virtual farm tour, and if we were in person, everybody would be on these huge visitor buses and going out to the different farms. So today we're going to start our tour at Honeyside Farm, and I'm going to be asking Tiffany Bailey a couple of questions on her farm operations. So Tiffany, let's talk a little bit about the history of your farm, the different types of farms, and some of the acreage that you have.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Tiffany Bailey, and I'm one of the owners and the president of Bayside Sod Inc. And Bayside Sod also owns Honeyside Farms. So we are in sod, and we also grow organic produce, produce all natural beef, and have some honey production as well. So Bayside Sod Inc. has been around for just over 30 years. We started in 1987, and that company was started by my father. And then several years ago, my brother and my brother-in-law and I took the company over. Today we produce and manage about 600 acres of turf grass. We have 15 acres of certified organic produce. And then again, also we produce honey and some all-natural beef.
Wow. So that's a lot of acreage and a lot of different farm operations. Do you guys hear that? That's incredible. And you know, it's all done on the farm. So let's think about some of the different productions. So we're all right now inside of the hoop house where a lot of that seed production starts. Some of it does happen in the field, but for the most part, here in the hoop house is where it starts. So let's look at some of the production system. What kind of production system? And I think you just kind of gave us an overview, but you know, maybe break down. Let's start with the vegetable production system and talk to us about it.
Yeah, if we're speaking specifically about the vegetable production, our customers are direct consumers, so retail. We sell a weekly subscription to a veggie box, and then we also sell to local restaurants. And so because of our customer base, we're not producing one big massive crop that we're selling at one time. We produce all season long. And so when you look in this hoop house, you'll see lettuce that was just started, you know, days ago. And then you'll see seedlings that are a couple weeks old and seedlings that are ready to go in the ground. So we actually take each crop and plant some every week. It's very heavy on the management supply side, but that management is super important so that we have a consistent supply to our clients. So again, we don't just produce a lot and here it is, you want it when we have it. No, we produce a steady supply for our clients.
Wow. So talk to us about some of the clients. Are they markets? Are they restaurants? Are they, so you talked about the boxes, the online, and we call that community supported agriculture that everybody can buy into. But talk about a couple of the different, where does it go from here? We're going to look at the fields here in a few minutes, but then when it's harvested, where are some of those outlets that people could find you?
So pre-COVID, we were at a couple farmers markets, but because of the volatility there, we've pulled out of those for now. We feel like our best opportunity to connect with the community is to do direct sales. And so we have a online platform where you can sign up for a subscription where you're getting, just like you talked about, a CSA model, community supported agriculture, where you're getting a supply of vegetables every week, and it's a little bit different every week. So every week you're going to get about 6 to 8 different products. And then we have a couple pickup locations where those clients go pick up their boxes every week. And that runs from November all the way through May. Then we do sell to local restaurants. We have a couple awesome restaurants that are downtown Sarasota. We sell to all the Geckos and the Geckos Hospitality Group. They buy quite a bit of our vegetables. And so we really try to keep it local. We know our customers. We don't sell directly to any large wholesale outlets. Because of our size, we feel like that's what works for us. So our costs are a little bit more because we don't have, you know, lots of automation on the farm. A lot of things are done by hand. And so that keeps the expenses up a little bit. And so we really need to get that direct to consumer dollar in order to make it work and in order to get our products out there to the public.
So that's cool. So the next time I go to Gecko's and I eat some zucchini squash, I bet I know where it came from.
Yep. It's really important to us. We definitely feel a connection with the community. We want people to have that experience of local healthy food. And for us, that's just what speaks to our hearts, and that's where we want our food to go.
So what about like best management practices? We're always concerned that we do the right things on the farm so that we protect the environment. But sometimes those best management practices that, like irrigation and getting the irrigation right, or getting fertilization down so that you're not putting too much fertilizer and then it ends up in our water system somehow. Is there any challenges that you have with any of the best management practices?
I would say that it's definitely like an art form as far as farming, staying within B&P guidelines and doing what you need to do to grow your crop. One of the challenges that we definitely have out here is sandy soils. And so you can't just throw a lot of water on at once, the same with the nutrients, because the soil, it doesn't really hold on to it as well as some other soil types. We work really hard to implement cover crop systems and have a really biodiverse soil, and that really helps, but we have to be careful with not applying too many nutrients at once because we don't want it to run into the waterways, and also the plant can't take it up. It can only hold so much at a time, so we really micromanage. We feed through the drip system, so it's just very small amounts what the plant can take up and nothing extra. That also saves us on a cost side of things. We obviously don't want to spend money on something that's going to be leached out. We would lose those dollars, and then there could be environmental implications that we also don't want.
So a lot of people just don't understand that, farms really don't want to overdo chemicals, overdo fertilizers, because that's your money going right down, and you'd rather put your money into, more seed production or, something that's going to benefit the customer in the end.
Yeah, I mean, farming, especially, I don't want to speak for everyone, but what we do, it's not this, massive monetary income stream. You really have to be careful with your resources. And so you, of course, try to do the right thing for the environment. And oftentimes what's good about that is that's the right thing for your pocket too. Again, you just have to be really careful with resources because at the end of the day, we want to be in business. We want to be here. We want to be serving people. And if we want to do that, we have to be careful on multiple angles, environment and resources included.
Yeah. So our theme for Farm City Week and for our tour is Original Essential Workers, Ag is Here to Stay. So talk to us a little bit about, like, in your farm, and you can talk any of the production systems, but what's it like to get hired help onto the farm? Is it a difficult process that you have to go through? What does it look like to us?
I mean, a lot of the jobs we hire out here, they're difficult physically. And so because of that, you limit who's qualified to do that work. And so we definitely employ all different types of people, but the ones that we tend to find the most productive are ones that have a passion for agriculture and also can stand the heat and can stand getting dirty and can stand just doing physically hard work. It's tough. There's just not that easy pool of people out there, and so when we do have a good employee, it's important for us to treat them well, and if we give them a good work experience, then it's not too difficult to get their family and friends to come join us as well. So we take that really seriously as, having a good work culture, treating people really well, and that helps our labor force. But yeah, workers are tough, and when they're here, you got to keep them. They're absolutely essential. During the COVID crisis, if I didn't have the physical labor force that we did, it would have really limited our ability to get food out to the community.
Wow. Okay. I stumble for words just because I know how difficult. I know some of the larger farms actually have to rely on labor force because they have such a large capacity, and labor force can be a very it's challenging trying to get, again, people that are wanting to be out there and picking. Mostly I think it's driven by it's money in their pocket versus that desire to be out there and in the field.
Yeah, especially on the larger farms, they don't need a consistent labor force, so that's another added challenge that they have, is that they just need labor during harvest season. And so that's a whole nother layer of complexity that adds challenges for larger growers, for sure.
And what about, like, you were talking beef production? Do you need a lot of people there? Do you need a lot of labor there?
So for the beef production, what we do, our system is that we partner with small to mid-sized producers. And so we give guidelines for them to grow on, and we produce it here on our farm too. But we try to involve ourselves with other small to mid-sized producers so that they have an opportunity to reach markets they wouldn't be able to reach without us. As far as labor, it's not as intense as produce. The produce is the number one intense as far as labor on our operation. Sod's pretty intense too. The beef is a little less intense, but you still need to have somebody there who knows what they're doing and knows how to handle animals because, well, they're animals and they're alive and it's important to care for them. And so you need that knowledgeable person, and that's not always easy to find either.
Right. And then cow does all the work, right?
Oh yeah, the cow does just everything. Yeah.
So this is interesting because now you get to see a little bit of what production looks like. And this is full of squash here. We got some summer squash in this field and probably a little bit of zucchini, but I don't see that readily. So I want to talk to you a little bit about COVID, because some of the issues with COVID from the farms there was a couple issues. One of them being that all your areas where you were giving to or selling to shut down, and then when things started coming back up again, you had to work with food safety concerns, workers being close or not being close, the concern of COVID and passing on that. So what were some of the challenges that you guys had to work through for COVID?
Wow, where do you start with that?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, food safety has always been, a priority for our farm. As every farmer I know, food safety is a priority. So that does help with some of the challenges that came with COVID. So we were already wearing gloves. We were already, having hygiene practices before and after the field. So that helps with some of the COVID stuff. What we did have to implement is anytime we're in like packing house situations inside, we would wear masks and try for those, to implement social distancing in there. But like I said, we were already doing gloves. So from a safety standpoint, we had to put a little bit extra measures in place, but because of food safety, we already had some good layers of protection in there. Now, when it comes to sales and where does our product go, we knew we had to keep people safe, otherwise we're not going to have someone to pick and get our product out there. The farmers markets completely shut down. I mean, you guys all remember, it was quick, like that. Restaurants, same thing, shut down or went to only takeout. So we had, over a very, very short period of time, we had about 80% of our crops not have a home. So that was very, very scary. What we did is, I have an amazing team. We were able to put together really quickly an online platform, and that platform is actually still in place today, even though that restaurants and markets are back open. We sell online. Things were trending that way anyway. I just think that COVID really just lit that trend on fire. And so now we have more online sales than we've ever had. It seems to be a way that people like spending their money, and we try to give them a good place to spend their money, something that's going to stay in the community. And so yes, COVID's challenging, but it has brought some opportunities for us, made us see things a little differently that we weren't seeing before.
And you're being a little shy about talking about the food bank. I think that if I recall, you donated a lot, and to this day, you're still donating extra crop to the food banks.
We do. That's just something that we want to be part of our farm. I think a lot of farmers do that, and it doesn't get known very much. But we do. So out here, you know, the crops, they don't produce like this. This is not a factory. It's a farm. So we have heavy weeks and light weeks. And when we get a really heavy week, of course, we try to sell it, but we don't leave it in the field. We don't throw it away. It's either given to cattle or it's donated. We donate a ton, almost weekly, to All Face Food Bank. Again, when we're having that up in production, it's different things, and they get those vegetables out there in the community. They do a really good job of that. But yeah, that's part of what we do. It's part of just what gives us, you know, another reason to be out here every day, some purpose.
So did you have to turn anything under? I know that like the tomato industry, they had to turn fields and fields of tomatoes under because they, at first, initially there was a lot of not understanding what to do and how to handle the pandemic. And then everybody started figuring it out and dealt with it. But in that initial stage, did you have to turn anything under?
We were fortunate we did not have to turn anything under. I mean, I have, you know, friends that are farmers that they did. Because we're smaller, we were able to get our workforce to at least pick everything. It was hard because we weren't able to sell it, but at the end of the day, I couldn't, if I had the labor to do so, I couldn't just let it sit here. We also worked with Transition Sarasota in their gleaning program, and when we had a glut of supply, they were able to come in and get volunteers out here to safely pick and donate some food. So that's another tool that farmers can, I think, utilize, is this gleaning Transition Sarasota, where they glean. And so there's just, I mean, it's amazing. It's just you don't have to waste anything.
Yeah, it sounds like that's almost a positive outcome from COVID. It was the gleaning process, and knowing now that if you ever hit that point, you can pick up that phone and just call Transition Sarasota and say, I need gleaners.
Yeah, and the people that work with Transition Sarasota, they're happy to do it. They're very fulfilled by you know, picking for donation, which is great. I mean, it helps everybody. But you know, we had a lot of food. There's hungry people out there. We all know that. And so for us to be able to, you know, be a connection point in that whole process was, I mean, it was fulfilling for sure.
Do you feel like there was anything else positive that came out of COVID? You said the online sales, because that forced you to do online. Anything else that you can leave everybody with on an upbeat today for being out on a farm? And
yeah, I think it's just important to appreciate, you know, where your food comes from. Whether it's a small farm or a big farm, we all get busy every day in our hustle and bustle, and you go to the grocery store without even thinking about it, put it in your cart. And we all saw a time where that food that you wanted wasn't just there. And so, you know, especially in Sarasota, Manatee County, we have all these farmers that produce food, and a lot of it goes right to this community. And so I think it's important for everyone just to stop and take a breath and appreciate that. Seek it out if you can. You know, consumers, you know, you guys have the power to choose where you buy food from. And so, yeah, I think it's important to support your local farmers. It supports your community.
and watch the internet, because sometimes you pick operations and allow people to come out here and pick from the farm, fresh from the farm.
Yeah, we do pick. We really encourage people to follow our Facebook page. It's very active. We have some fun interactive videos, and we keep it really updated. Also, our website is always updated. But from time to time we'll open up for a U-Pick, and that's just a good time for anybody. It's a good place to bring kids, let them see a farm, let them run around, let them get dirty, and yeah, we love doing that.
I like your Facebook. I always tell people, you did a video on how to prepare cabbage, and my kids are like, they're okay with cabbage, not quite sure about it. And you did an awesome, like, here's what you do, and you wrap it in tin foil and you put it on the barbecue. Now, the only thing I can say different is it took me about 45 minutes to get that soft.
Oh, did it? Did it?
And I think you were saying about 30 minutes, but I had a fairly large head, so I think that was the difference.
Yeah,
but
grilled cabbage. I mean, I never thought a cabbage video on Facebook would be so popular, but we got so much, interactive feedback from that video because cabbage, let's be real, it can be boring, but if you find fun ways to cook it, and that's what we do. We, with our box subscriptions, we put out cooking videos so that people can get interesting ways to prepare their food. And because if you get squash 3 weeks in a row, like, you might get bored with it, but we come up with some fun stuff. I'm glad you like that.
I absolutely did. So that's all we have today at Honeyside Farm, everybody. And again, this was Tiffany Bailey for Honeyside Farms, and we're going to take you now to the next tour.